thought we would take like a minute sharing a little bit about our own personal strengths and how they show up in the leadership map. And maybe I'll just say, I'll just give a little bit of a glimpse into mine. So of my top signature strengths, love shows up as one of my signature strengths. It always, I've taken the survey many times, and love always falls into 1, 2, or 3. And, you know, I know how important close relationships are. I mean, my relationship with Rimi is just an example of, you know, of how important developing and sharing and caring is in my life. And it shows up in the way that you're seeing it show up right now. And I also know that when I overuse it, I can definitely get imbalanced, like Rimi talked about, and my needs can get subsumed by others, and I can feel that switch happening, and I can feel that imbalance. And when that happens, I can cut off and I can isolate and not feel all that love and all that caring and sharing that I know is so important to me and shows up as a strength.
Wow.
So it's just a great example of how the map works. And Rimi, I'll invite you again to share a bit about you.
And well, I want to just comment on yours. First of all, love is obviously your strength, Samantha. You exude that. I think that's really special. And also it's interesting that that you recognize when you fall out of balance. I think this comes with being a guide for others and leading others in this process. A lot of us don't recognize the signs, and that's a lot of what this ROOTsilience Leadership Series will help us to do, to recognize the signs before we get into imbalance or even into disease, right? And I think it's interesting that your heart, you know, it's the reaction is closing off, you know, rather it's almost like you're blocking a strength, and that can really show up as limiting us. Not only does it stop the flow of energy and the flow of awareness and just ease in our bodies, but it literally keeps us from being leaders. That's pretty powerful.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll just mention one little other thing. It's not so little, is that remember, the course has these 3 pillars, and the functional body is one. And the heart, for me, where love sits as the chakra, is a huge issue. My father died of a heart attack when he was 59 years old. I have watched my own cardiovascular health since he died all those years ago. So it's something that I certainly am aware of and cognizant of, and so it's all connected. Right.
Mm-hmm.
To the work that we're doing.
Yeah. And thank you for sharing that about your father. And I know he inspired your journey into functional medicine and health and well-being. Yeah. Well, so I'll share one of mine. So one of my signature strengths, which again are the top ones of this VIA survey, is zest. Zest is the ability, you know, enthusiasm. I think anybody who knows me knows that I'm pretty enthusiastic, but also the ability to use that enthusiasm to get things done. And that falls into, under the ROOTsilience Leadership Map, into the solar plexus. We've mapped it in the solar plexus, which is our fire, our ability to, like, you know, get the fire going, you know, get it done. And it's a strength. I'm really good at executing. You know, as you know, you only have to give me an idea and I can just run with it. But what it can lead to when it's an overuse, because when it's a strength, we can tend to overuse it. When it's an overuse, it can lead to burnout, and it can lead to just doing, and more. And I'm blessed with the ability to have this, but it can really fall out of balance if I don't put boundaries in place, if I don't, you know, learn how to say no to things that aren't really a fit. And that can be really hard for somebody with a lot of zest and a lot of enthusiasm, and maybe some of the listeners can relate. But yeah, being able to recognize that and knowing how to bring that into balance, the foods that I need to stay away from that'll exacerbate those tendencies, and the foods that are soothing and healing. And then also, of course, the practices, the mindful practices, the movement practices that will help to bring that area into balance. So we don't get out of balance in the first place. We don't get stretched to our limits in the first place. We can be root resilient.